everyone, welcome to Art Journal page number 8, Halloween edition. I thought we'd give the voiceover a go, see how it goes, and I'm sick, so I'm a little nasally, so forgive me for that, but I thought we'd give the voiceover a try. I'm just showing you the napkin that I'm using for the background. It came from Target. It was $1 and I found it in the Halloween section. And I'm just going to adhere that down with some golden gel medium. Putting a thin layer. And then putting a thin layer over the top as well. Then after it's dried good and trimmed, I am taking some Liquitex Basics acrylic paint in Mars Black and going over the whole thing. And then taking a baby wipe and wiping some of it away so you can see the background or the napkin underneath. And making sure that's dried really good. I'm taking the Silks acrylic glaze in Pretty Peridot and just a dry paper towel and pouncing it all over the background. It's the perfect Halloween creepy green. And then once that's completely dry, I'm taking some Distress ink in Dusty Concord and just putting that in random areas all over the background. In retrospect, it wasn't the best thing to use because it didn't dry good and it got all smeary, but it was the color that I wanted, so. And I'm just showing you the paper collection that I'm going to be using. It's the Wicked Merchant Malvado collection from My Mind's Eye, and that moon was cut out from that piece of paper. I had tried to film this once before and the other page didn't work out, so a lot of the paper that I'm using is already cut out. And this technique, I borrowed it from Aaron from Imperfect Impulses. He has a patent on this technique called cutting. So it's a genius technique, I think. I just had to use it. I'm just showing you the stamps that I used. They're both from the dollar bin at Michael's. Love that skull one. Been using it all the time since I got it. And just distressing all the pieces of paper with the black soot distress ink. And I got this die cut in a package. It came with these frames and some flourishes in the dollar bin at Joanne, and I didn't know what I would use it for because the way it is, it's ugly, I think, for me anyway. But with a little bit of paint, it turns into the perfect spooky frame. I just went over it with the Liquitex Basics Mars Black and then sprinkled on some ultra fine embossing powder in clear for a little bit of extra dimension. And then once that and the paint is completely dry, I'm going to use the Distress ink embossing pad to get some areas and sprinkle some sparkly, glittery embossing powder and also some ultra thick embossing enamel for some sparkle and some extra added dimension. And I'm just showing you what it looks like. I think it came out really cool, a lot cooler than it looked like to begin with. So now I'm going around the edges with a silver paint pen, and I'm taking my aluminum tape that I got at the hardware store and going to make a mirror of sorts. It's just a teeny tiny bit too short, so I have to cut 2 extra strips to go on the side. I'm just adhering that down with Glossy Accents, my favorite adhesive. And then going to glue the whole thing down to the background with Glossy Accents. And then also gluing down that strip of paper. And gluing down the moon. And the little witch. And I was just looking for some plainish background paper because I want to punch out little bats. So I tried a dye-based ink first, and I didn't like the color, so I went with the Dusty Concord Distress ink. I don't know why I didn't go with that to begin with, because that's what I had been using all along. And then this punch I'm showing you is from Studio G. I got it at AC Moore in the dollar section. I got a little cat one too. So cute, but they're so tiny. Sorry about the truck in the background if you could hear it. I'm sitting right by the window. Not the best choice, but... And now I'm stamping that ticket because I want to use the Happy Halloween to go on the frame, and I don't have a stamp that just says Happy Halloween or Halloween. And again, adhering it down with Glossy Accents. And putting the skull in the middle of the mirror. I'm taking a spiderweb stamp, and it has really sharp edges, so I just taped it off. And then used an embossing ink pad as well as that purple dye-based ink pad. And I'm going to emboss it. It didn't work out that good because the embossing powder stuck to the painty part. I'm not really sure why, but I had to take most of it off. And then I'm just embossing with the Dusty Concord Distress ink all around that paper. And then I'm taking the staples from my little teeny tiny stapler and coloring them in with the eggplant alcohol ink. And then I'm just going to use that to attach the little ticket up there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your comments and likes, and stay tuned for the still pictures. And thanks again for watching. Bye.